Hi guys. So, June 1st marks the beginning of PTSD Awareness Month in June. We have a lot of community members that are ex-service people and others who have been through trauma and stuff like that, and they use the hobby as a great opportunity for them to relax and reconnect with life. And we care very deeply about the mental health of our community. We didn't have a weekender for this week because of UK Games Expo coverage, but to mark PTSD Awareness Month and just to highlight it in all of our minds that it's there, it's an issue, it's real, and people live with it every day. A little while back, we did an XLBS show. So XLBS is a show that we put out on a Sunday to our backstage members. Backstage members are the people, they pay a small amount every month. They get a bit of extra content, but they help us keep this whole project alive. And every Sunday, we have a show called XLBS, which is pretty different from any other show we do. One of my favorites. But we had Mel The Terrain Tutor in, and we did a show called Opening Up, which was quite a milestone for us as human beings, as well as people in this community. We broadcast that for our backstagers, and backstagers at the time said that they would love to see that episode shared more widely. So we let some time pass to allow us to get a bit more used to the idea, and then for PTSD Awareness Month, we are now broadcasting that today. It's a fascinating show. One of the most interesting, and some say, powerful shows that we've ever done. Everybody that took part in the show is doing well. So I just wanted to record this little intro to explain to you why we're doing it. It's maybe a show worth, if you know someone that is maybe going through some mental health issues and things like that there, perhaps this might be an episode you want to share with them. Because not everybody realizes they're going through it, and it's good to share. It's good to talk. So this is us now. If it was called Opening Up, I suppose now it's called Really Opening Up. Let us know what you think in the comments below. Okay. A little warning message before you get into this episode. Oh, yeah. This episode was an opportunity for us to talk about something that we wanted to address for a long time. Mel was in the studio, and it's something very close to his heart. It's something very close to a lot of our hearts in here. So we wanted to open up. So this episode, you'll get all your hobby bit at the start, but then it gets heavy. It's four guys opening up. Yeah. Because
opening up more than we expected, to be truthful.
Probably yes. Yeah. And to be honest, this show is and this community is not only about hobby, but it is also about community. Mm-hmm. And this is a one-off. And
difficult topic.
On our main,
it is. Yeah.
We're getting him in now to let you know. Yeah.
We're good.
We're all okay.
Yeah, I'm okay.
Yeah. Good, so he's all right. But look, if you're not in the mood for something that's a little bit heavier, of four guys talking about opening up to one another, feel free to skip the main topic of it. Mm-hmm. There's some good hobby at the start.
Yeah, there's some damn good hobby at the start.
So, if this episode encourages you want to open up or whatever, please feel free to do so. And remember, because we're here as a community.
Yeah. And links down below, for anyone who needs them. If you can't talk to us, talk to someone.
Yeah. All right, guys.
enjoy the show.
We hope it helps.
Happy Sunday!
Good morning, Backstagers. Welcome to XLBS. We are joined by Mel.
Hiya, folks.
Mel The Terrain Tutor, the one, the only.
Careful.
This is going to be so good. I'm also joined by a massive, hairy Jerry. Hola. My baldy buddy.
Okay.
Hiya, Justin.
Hello, Warren.
It's good to see you, man.
Good morning.
And we've got Sean here with us as well. We've no Ben, so we brought Sean in. Very dapper on his owlbear.
Yep. On his owlbear.
We like that.
They didn't tell me what sort of show this was going to be.
Oh yes.
Brace
So to kick
yourself.
off, hobby time.
Yes.
Justin.
For me, I've been painting away at my Space Marines, and I thought I'd show off some of my progress. So I've got.
Who do you think should go first? If you let me finish the sentence.
Harsh.
I'm only carrying on, man. Justin, lead us in, man.
Yeah.
Show us your hobby.
So I've been working away on my Redemptor Dreadnaught. This has actually been one of the most fun kits I've worked on from the Primaris set. Mm-hmm. Compare it to a regular Dreadnought. In fact, Warren, behind you on set are some Dreadnoughts. Go and grab me one.
Go and grab you a Dreadnought.
Grab me a Dreadnought. Yeah, there should be ones. Yeah, you see in the Imperial Fist slot right there? Down there,
Yeah.
yellow.
Oh! Oh!
Yeah,
Got him.
don't die. All right, just give me
Got
one
him.
here.
Oh man, you're gonna make him look
Yeah, but
so
that's-
inadequate.
look at the scale difference between the Redemptor. It's twice the goddamn size.
I think he's compensating for something.
I don't know. I mean, like,
It's a big gun.
it is. But I do like the fact that you still have some of the nice moving components on this, which has let me get some extra detail in there.
Yes.
I have also
Here, wait.
Yeah.
What's the backstory to these?
to these.
Do you know?
Well, these are basically for Primaris Marines who have fallen in battle and they turn into Dreadnoughts instead of just cranking them into a Dreadnought. So, of course, Belisarius Call had to make a new Dreadnought, which means I had to buy a new Dreadnought.
Okay. It's a beautiful model.
It is a
I will
gorgeous
grant you
model.
that. I also really like your priming on it. I think the
That
primer
is the Games Workshop primer.
Oh, is that the Games Workshop primer?
Yeah, it goes down really, really well.
Does it look like smooth, solid colour?
It is very smooth, isn't it? Are you going to highlight this?
He's missed
No.
his mould lines.
No, I have.
He never looks for the mold lines.
Yep.
I never look for them. I'm doing it as a gaming piece.
That's fine. That's fine. Look,
Yeah.
you know, Justin, that I'm the last person in the world who can complain to anybody except for John about mold lines. So it's I quite. Oh no, that's
is.
not right.
Don't close the doors the wrong way.
How do you close the
Bottom,
doors?
then top.
That's really weird. There's a handle on the bottom one.
Yeah, I know.
Who knows why that
Oh, he
opens.
took it. He just took it off me. I thought he was taking it to demonstrate to you guys at home how it opened, but no, it was just a case of Warren's not allowed that.
All right, fine. Door
Well,
open.
nobody cares now, Justin. You know, it's like, we know what you're about.
I've also been starting to work on Marneus Calgar and his Victrix Guard, which are coming together quite nicely.
Marnie, right? Hang on a second.
This is
now.
the new one,
Which one's Marneus?
the big one.
Captain Bobo,
Okay,
Mr. Fistings.
right. So there he is.
This is the first old school Space Marine who has been turned into a Primaris Marine now. So the backstory is it actually damn near killed him when they did this, but it's a gorgeous model to work
It
on.
damn near killed him, but it didn't.
It didn't. No.
So hang on a second.
It damn near killed him, yeah.
Yeah. So basically,
Yeah.
has he come out of the other end with any flaws whatsoever?
No.
So what a pointless story. You know, what a pointless piece of writing to say, oh, he went through the process. It nearly killed him, but he came out better in every single way. So,
Here's
in
the
other words, the
problem.
whole thing of, you know, a character's most interesting things is being in
Their
his
flaws.
flaws.
Yeah.
What an utterly pointless story.
Actually, I can see exactly why they've done this.
I know why they've done it. So they sell loads of it and they can point them up to the balls.
No, it's also so that they don't have to convert every single Space Marine into a Primaris Marine, because if it just worked for all of them, there's the death of your tactical squad that you've talked about.
What?
Because in the background, this process will almost guarantee death, they will not upgrade old generation Marines to Primaris Marines, therefore you will still have your tactical squad. We had this argument like 3 or 4 episodes ago.
Jez Goodwin told me himself that there was an upgrade process for Space Marines to turn them into Primaris.
Yes. And this is so that they don't have to do it to all of them and retire a product which still sells and makes them money.
Okay. Okay.
That was my thinking on it.
Yes, but it's still, do you get my point about it being an utterly pointless piece of writing? You know, if he'd come out with a flaw, do you know, like
character development?
Yes.
Yeah.
If he'd come out, as after going through all of that, to miss the opportunity to give him a flaw, some characterful flaw.
Characterful flaw, yes.
That's the one. Yeah. Like you look at the one of the greatest flaws in the whole backstory of 40k, the Blood Angels, where they go into that whole
Black Death,
blood rage thing.
Well, you've got the Black Rage and the Red Thirst, and I'm about to make you super sad because the new Blood Angels Primaris Marines don't have it.
Of course not, because they're not real Marines.
Yeah, they're not real Blood Angels. Yeah.
But the thing is, he went through it, he almost died, he came out the other side and he's fine.
Yeah.
Grand, bung them all through it. You lose some along the way, but you come up with the ones who survive are better than the old crap ones.
Yeah.
And there's no flaw, so why even worry about it? You'll kill some, but it's not like they'll come out worse. The ones who are still breathing are better.
Yeah, the Imperium doesn't care.
In fact, killing them off is the training mechanism for training Space Marines.
Exactly. It's just like another layer, isn't it?
I mean, pretty much all the chapter serfs are the guys who didn't make it through training, aren't they?
Every servitor mind wiped, put into the basement, left and carry.
If they did it for your reason, and I'm not convinced by any stretch of the imagination that's why they did it. It's such a wasted opportunity for something cool, something you can hang something off, something that you could actually even bring to the tabletop as a unique rule for that character to make it, to give it a vulnerability, to give it a flaw in the whole process.
For example.
But he's an Ultramarine, isn't he?
Yeah,
so he is a Smurf. Marius Lightdorf, the Elector Count in old Warhammer, they used to call him the Mad Count. Now, in the last edition, like 7th and 8th, it was twee. They'd made him essentially this idiot. But in the early editions, sort of when he first appeared from sort of 3rd up to 7th, the reason he was the Mad Count is he was bipolar. And he would go into dark rages and depressive moods. And then he would come out the other side and be super hyper. He was a fantastic artist. This was all written in his backstory. He was the best fighter in the Empire and all this. He had a really interesting, developed character. Yeah. And then at the end, they went, he once waged war on the halflings and he calls his horse after another Empire general he doesn't like because he's mental. He's not mental. He's just dull. The old one, who was a fantastic artist, fighter, strategist, but he suffered from depressive bouts where he would just go into rage or fit or just go off into isolation. That was an interesting character. The man who occasionally went wibble and attacked the halflings for no reason wasn't an interesting character.
Well, I mean, like the storyline at the minute with Calgar, well, from where I've read, the last one I read with him in it was Dark Imperium. He actually is dealing with some inner turmoil about being, not being able to defend Ultramar, and then the Primarch coming back, and then him constantly thinking that Guilliman is like putting him down, rebuking him for not doing a good enough job, but even though it seems he thinks he's hiding it behind a smile.
Then again, Guilliman probably is.
Yes. And,
oh, no.
I don't know, Justin. I don't know.
One.
Oh, did you break one?
I'll have to fix that.
Oh, man. Will we stop the show and go get a bit of glue?
Apparently.
Okay, so what do you got there?
I've been working on my Primaris Reivers as well.
Now, I've got to ask.
Yeah.
They're a completely different shade of blue.
This is after the wash, so I have to go back over these with Calgar blue.
Well, hang on a second now.
Yeah.
Are you going to put the wash on the guys behind them?
Eventually, yes.
So they will all end up the same color?
Yes. So these guys are an earlier stage. So it's like I've discussed with my painting before. I color prime, I block color, I wash, I tidy up, and I put it on the table. So it's just fast and nasty painting.
But hey, it works. That's the main thing. Are you going to do the same thing to your Dreadnought?
Yes. Well, he'll probably get more of a pin wash than anything, so that I don't darken him too much. Because once I come back over this with the blue, the guys here will come back more to this.
Yeah.
So it's just a little bit of work. But I do like how these guys turned out. And I like the fact that whenever I was doing the grenades and stuff, I tried to pick like poppy colors for them just so they would stand out a little bit more off of them.
Yeah. What's them weird little flappy bits?
Those are grav shoots.
Right.
So these guys can basically do a halo drop out of a Thunderhawk and deep strike. And the other cool one is they have this, which is a grapnel launcher, which means they can ignore terrain and just move over it.
Oh.
Yeah, so basically this unit is really great because you can drop it behind the enemy, give them something they weren't expecting, and force them to turn around and deal with this unit instead of dealing with the rest of your forces.
Are you for picking up the new box set?
Of course I am. And these guys are basically in that same Phobos type armor that's coming in the new box.
Yeah, it has
This
the
was
flappy bits as well, yeah.
Yeah, but this was a good chance to actually experiment painting this particular armor type and see if I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
You see, that unit is one of the reasons that really put me off 40k, that idea
Really?
of it. Yeah, I mean, I started experiencing the same sort of thing when I was going to the gaming club. I'd get into the gaming club, I'd be looking to play, I'd just get over the threshold, and before I knew it, some big beastie was dropping in behind me. Yeah, first thing I know, he's pumping me rear full of white. Yeah, it's burning hot. Yeah, that's leaving me immobile, stunned. I can't do anything during my turn to play.
And that's on a good night.
Yeah, and then if that doesn't finish me off, next turn he's doing it again and charging in with a fist. That's going to just leave me completely destroyed, my weapon useless. I've spilled me soldiers everywhere. I mean, it just wasn't fun anymore.
Yeah, I can see how that would get you down.
Yeah.
Look, I've got to say, there is nothing worse than playing first turn of a game of 40k where you just spend the entire time pulling your privates off the table.
Tell me
like,
especially if you play Grey Knights, you haven't got many privates to pull off in that army.
No, you don't.
Well, I mean, if you're playing Primaris, they're a pretty expensive force, so you don't really have too many of the privates on the table either.
Perhaps it's part of the re-education scheme.
It could well be. So you're going to pick up the new box set, Justin, yeah?
Yes,
Are you going to split it?
Yes, I've got one of the young fellas in the club's going to split it with me.
Okay. Did you take his lunch money as well while you were at it? That's just a joke, Alpha Strike. Relax.
I really don't get the whole thing with you in this Alpha Strike thing, because I mean, like, whoever gets the first turn in a game of 40k, they're kind of getting that Alpha Strike anyway.
Yeah, 40k is horrendous for that, though, Justin.
It's the whole I go, you go thing.
It's the most frustrating experience because so much is powerful in it. And this is kind of why I like the Age of Sigmar, I've got to say. Because, well, at least the way we play it, I get to do stuff with a unit, and then you get to do stuff with a unit. Yeah. And I really like it because I don't feel as frustrated as what I do whenever I sit back and watch half my army get utterly decimated because I've half my army decimated.
Yeah.
I love that. Yes, I know one or two of you out there are going, yeah, half an army decimated, so that's what 5% of the army gone then. So but it's that whole prospect, especially if you deploy badly. And I live to deploy badly. It's what I do.
Generally, you live to refuse flank.
I enjoy the refused flank. I do enjoy the refused flank. I wouldn't say that that it's my only tactic these days, but I do deploy badly. And especially in something like 40k where you have a lot of very kind of units and stuff like that. It is really frustrating. It's time for a change.
Well, you see, this is why I'm enjoying more drop units in the forces, because it means you can hold them off table and get them in and get them where you need them, which I quite enjoy because it's giving your opponent unexpected bad choices to deal with whenever it does come to their
Maybe
turn.
that's the way to fix 40k. Not suggesting 40k is massively broken. I mean, 40k has been the same kind of broken for a long time, and every edition it gets more broken and it gets fixed a bit and it gets more broken.
Yeah, but everybody's working under the same rule set.
The biggest killer in 40k from my perspective is that lack of reaction system.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you do have Overwatch now.
Yeah, you do. But like, can you deploy an Overwatch?
No.
Well, if you're getting charged, is when you get the Overwatch. There's nothing that allows me to have a firefight with you to shoot back when you shoot me.
You see,
that's what you're after.
Yeah.
That's what I'm after.
Or even to duck for cover.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Which is what would be a natural reaction in that situation.
Which worked very well in bolt action.
Yeah.
The fact that you can go down when somebody starts to attack you.
But bolt action again is one unit at a time. And there's a randomness that adds to the fog of war of it. This is why I always thought the worst thing Workshop ever did was get rid of Priestley and Cavatori, because if they'd kept them, who knows? Maybe that whole draw from the bag thing could have ended up in an addition.
I've actually talked to people who've played 40k that way. They say it's quite fun.
Well, we actually played 40k like that way after you suggested it on a weekend years ago. Yeah, we gave it a go, and it's a far more engaging game.
Cavatori the guys at Parabellum are about to do that Conquest game release for Adepticon. And
that's right.
The rule set is online. You can actually go and have a look at it. So I was having a nosy through it. It's a rank and flank fantasy game.
Yes.
But you do not deploy your whole army on the table at the start.
Nope.
And there's a reinforcement phase where you can try and call up off-table regiments and off-table units throughout the whole game. And it's always there. It's always on.
These guys are gearing up to a launch.
Yeah.
And I've got to say, I think that this has the potential to be the best rank and file fantasy game out there by a long shot. I've been looking at the minis. I've been astounded by the minis. They went slightly oversized.
I haven't seen any. I've only seen the artwork so far, which is very reminiscent of Rackham.
Holy God, Jerry! Wait till you see the minis. The minis are oversized.
Yeah.
What they did was they got a set of prototypes back at the wrong scale,
right?
And they were slightly big, and they thought, "Oh, we'll play it anyway." And then they thought, "This just looks too awesome," and they brought them in here, and I walked into the table, and and honestly, I heard this almost like ladylike squeal. And I looked around to see where the fuck did that come from. It was me. It was just looking at it, because that oversized. We've seen the same thing with the Age of Sigmar stuff when they scale it all up. Suddenly you're looking at it and going, heck, that's impressive. This is a game that I've been kind of biding my time waiting for those guys to get into their launch phase, which is effectively now they're going to start going into that. But I am seriously looking forward to having a deep look at this game, because from a rules perspective, it's very, very. And I think was Alessio involved in? I think he's involved in that game as well, possibly. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's
just one of his rule sets, isn't it?
It's Alessio's rule set.
So
there are a couple of standout mechanics though for that game that really jump out at you, which is your deployment zone actually grows as you move your stuff up the table. So sometimes it's actually worth your opponent sending a unit just charging on past, because it'll actually force your deployment zone further back down your table, which is quite nice.
So you get to have a direct impact on your opponent's ability to manage their resources.
Yeah, and if they've been clever with it, they are able to actually push up and get a very decent sized deployment zone that they can bring the reinforcements. Because if you imagine, what's the worst thing? You have a rank and file game where you're already up in combat and your stuff turns up at the edge of the table.
Yes.
Having the ability for it to come up right behind your troops is really good.
I mean, that's exactly the contact front situation.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know what I mean? You're patrolling in a full line. You know, the last man is, 50 yards, 100 yards back, playing tail end Charlie, and you hear contact front, and you've got to get right up to the front and get engaged.
Yep.
Yeah, and if you're the last man, there's nothing worse than contact front. It's almost like, I'll quit now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's clearly there are rules and mechanics out there for tabletop that will work. They just need to innovate. And I don't know if it's because 40K has, I'm going to say, stagnated, because the rule system itself, with minor tweaks, has remained more or less constant for 40 years.
Yeah.
And as much as they've changed, I mean, even you can see the pushback with Primaris and that sort of thing, where they add something new and people going, no. But that's just from a fluff point of view. If they break the rule set they've currently got and go, we need to work this again from the ground up,
I don't envy them on that front.
No.
And so I don't know if they ever will. I think this is as good as it gets.
It's a game
because their gamers are entrenched then.
It's a game that's potentially encumbered by the weight of its own success.
Also, one of the successes of 40K is the new editions aren't that hard to step up if you've played the previous edition, because there's only a few minor changes.
Yeah.
If you break the game and you come in without, someone's going to sit down and go, do I really want to relearn an entire game?
Yeah.
Well, we've seen it once already.
Age of Sigmar.
Yeah.
Bingo.
And I've got to say,
The flashback there was huge.
Yes,
Yeah.
but the latest sales figures that have come in from the States, 40K top.
Yeah, of
Age
course.
of Sigmar second. X-Wing down to fourth.
Yeah.
Can't remember what was third. But that Age of Sigmar second is very interesting, because it's been a long number of years before Warhammer Fantasy Battle was in that second
a
slot.
far fifth at one point.
Yeah.
It was. You could be going back a long way before Fantasy Battles would have been in that second spot. So the thing about it is, rule changes for any company are a really tricky thing to navigate, because you can have your existing player base just throw the hands and go, oh God, why do I have to relearn this? However, if you persevere and if you have belief in the product and the product is right, you can come out of it with a success. And we're at that really interesting phase in the wargaming industry at the moment, that we have a number of games that are going through that difficult transition. Privateer, Warm Hordes going through a very difficult kind of transition into its rule set. Flames of War,
Flames,
Flames. Yeah, it's this year will be interesting now because we get into the late war stuff,
which is where an awful lot of their player base were sitting at.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting. I'm really looking forward to seeing what happens within Flames. It's even the likes of Team Yankee. Team Yankee's really starting to find its feet now. With Oil War and by moving the Arab-Israeli stuff kind of moved into that phase as well.
Of it,
So the thing is, it takes time, and no amount of money can buy time. It's a really difficult one.
I have a question then. Is it maybe that Games Workshop is experimenting with new rule types with the specialist games? Because they keep rolling out new specialist games. So we've had Titanicus, we've had Necromunda, and each of these has had a very different feeling rule set to the main games.
I don't think so.
I'll put in and say I don't think so, but I think if they come across a winner, then that could certainly be escalated.
Exactly. It might make the port across.
The problem with those is if they use it as a test bed in that way, it becomes so narrowly focused, because with the best one in the world, Necromunda is a skirmish game where people aren't going to have more than 8 models on.
This is the danger.
And they could have the best rule in the world in there. The minute you put 80, 180, 280 figures on the board and you're still trying to use that rule, you're screwed.
And here's the thing. I think you would find that if one of these smaller games became a massive runaway success, you might find Workshop run a mile from it. Because if you have a game,
did with Lord of the Rings,
Lord of the Rings kind of crashed because the hype train itself crashed. But one of the reasons the specialist games were kind of drawn down from the stores was because of this danger of a game taking over where you only need to buy 10 models and that's your collection done, compared to a game of 40k where you instinctively want to buy 100 models.
So even Blood Bowl, I almost bought another Dreadnought.
So Blood Bowl, you could, for the cost of less than a 40k army, buy Blood Bowl and every team they ever produced. And you wouldn't just have Blood Bowl, you'd have all the Blood Bowl. And
so there is I don't think so, Justin. I think, and I've talked about this on the shows. I don't want to talk about it to death. I do suspect that all of this push into specialist games is more of a let's keep them occupied. Let's just keep our marketplace as occupied as we can possibly keep them, because as long as they're looking in our direction, they're not looking elsewhere.
That's a fair point.
So I think it's probably more to do with that.
Yeah, well, that's my hobby. I've been painting and enjoying my 40k.
I'm really pleased to hear that, man. Jerry.
So last week I was showing off some confrontation ogres,
right?
That I was painting as a sort of a little, palette cleanser post Zulu.
You'll not know what to do with yourself now that we're into the post Zulu epoch.
It's madness. So there I was going, this is great. I'm heading home, getting on the train with Tom. I was taking some of the rest. The drift was substantial and had to be taken away in serried ranks and chunks. And I dropped the bag on the floor and I went, oh, that's a bit bangy. Oh, I was carrying Warlords of Erewhon in the bag with the big foam hills. I'm going, that's the only thing in there. I don't care about the book. I'm just going to be reading later on. Hardback, made that noise. And then I got home and opened the bag and went, oh no.
It was your ogres.
The ogres were in there with me. And the ogres look like this now.
Oh, no.
Oh, no, not that.
No, that's what the ogres look like now.
No, it's this. Oh. Pain.
So.
Bits everywhere.
Everywhere. And chipped. and they're all going to have to be stripped down and start again from scratch. And I looked at that for a while.
Are they metal ogres?
Yeah. Oh, they're lead. They're all lovely lead.
Oh, yeah.
They bounce.
Oh, they really
bounce well.
Well, if it's lead, will it not dent?
So, you know,
It looks a little in some of those staves.
that was straight once.
Oh, dude, it took a bad.
Oh, yeah, it really did. So I was left sitting there looking at that, and then I closed the box. And then a couple of days later, I opened the box again, looked at them, went, and closed the box again. But what I have done is, I have so much stuff sitting out around me at the moment. I'm going, right, I've started painting those ogres on a whim. I'm going, I should get some ogres out for Warlords of Erwan or for Fantasy Saga, which apparently is coming at Salute, or whatever it happens to be. And I'm looking at what I have sitting around me at the moment, and I've got multiple Saga in 28mm. I've got my two 15mm Tiny Saga armies. I had the ogres. I've got bolt action, Flames of War, so much. Everywhere I look, and I've gone, right, actually, this is probably an ideal opportunity to clear the decks, tidy everything away, and work out what I actually want / need to do, and get some sort of order to it, because I will just keep jumping and not finishing and jumping and not finishing and jump, and I do it all the time. And Rourke's Drift has taken 3 years-ish to almost be completely complete, and even then the British still need their webbing white because it's just grey at the moment, so it's not even completely done, because I am a slacker like that. It's, you know, it's not just good, it's good enough. So I'm now in a position where I'm going, right, I'm going to tidy everything away, and I'm going to come up with some sort of clever tracker thing, and just start working through in chunks. So
I know exactly how to help you, man.
Don't say spreadsheets, because I have a friend keeps going spreadsheets. I can't even open a spreadsheet.
No, mate. Look, I'm from the school of delegation here.
All right, so just hand over to John.
I know exactly how to help you, right?
Say that to Johnny through things.
We are. I can help you in so many ways. This is a cunning plan.
Yes,
Cunning as a fox.
This is as cunning as a fox who's dipped himself in honey and is getting ready to smear his fur all over your beard, Justin. So does he get that honey beard fox arse hair kind of entanglement?
Dude, where the hell is this coming from?
That's a visual.
I could have done without that.
We have a solution. He became a backstager in recent times.
Yes.
And now we need to import him because he has all the skills that you could ever want. Because he's a German. We need Sundancer.
Pundancer.
So Sundancer, I know you're watching this, right? We're going to kidnap you. Forget about your family. You don't need him anymore.
Don't need them.
We're going to kidnap you. We're going to bring you here, and you can live with Jerry. And then you bring all your German skills of organization.
Have you seen his paint setup whenever he's painting Star Wars Legion? It's great. It's like he has a tray that he built himself. It's like a 2-level tray with like 1-inch dowel drilled, magnetized, so each figure goes on a dowel, or each part of a figure. So when he's painting like stormtroopers for Star Wars Legion, there's an arm, a body, an arm, a body, an arm. And it goes
so well
just front to back. And it's just paint, and then glued all together and go, done.
That's German ingenuity.
It really is. Yeah, I really need to look at it because it's getting. I would say it's getting overwhelming. It's been overwhelming for years. I just push it, just keep pushing more and more stuff around the room, or into different rooms, or into the attic just to get out of the way. And then I go, oh, where's that? I should go and find that. And then after opening 5 or 6 or 10 figure cases, you go, oh, I forgot I had these. And then you come down instead, and I forget why I went into the loft.
You see, I have an interesting solution to that. What I do is I leave all my unpainted stuff at the studio. Yeah. And then I bring a single unit home with the paints I need to do it. And that's all I have on my desk. So I can't paint anything else.
You can't get distracted.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm not overwhelmed by having too much stuff around me.
So, Jerry,
I used to do paint chats with a group of guys, great group of guys from all over, from the States, from England and the continent. And we'd be talking away, and you should be painting something. And one of them would go, I'm really interested in playing 6mm Ancients. And I go, oh, I've got some rule sets. And I would start digging out rule, and whatever I was painting is forgotten about. And I would spend 3 hours while everybody else is going, at the end of it, they're going, I've done this tank, I've done this squad, and I've got a stack of books this high in danger of falling on me because I'm so easily distracted. Go, oh, well, you could do this, you could do that. So my hobby time, I think, for the next couple of weeks will be working out what my hobby time needs to be and working out the order I need to do it in. So I have a load of lovely resin Dark Age stuff from Fugu. So if I go, right, well, if I do the Saga first, and then I go Saga train, Saga warband, or do a Saga warband, then the train, then another warband, and just try and get some things completed. Because I know Lloyd keeps going, you should really finish something. I'm going, you should really pick a shield, Lloyd. Just pick one shield. Yeah, I'll finish a warband when
from
you
your
pick a shield.
100,000 flipping drawing pins that you've had.
Every shield.
But it is something. It's something that we all run against. I've got to say, one of the benefits, an intangible benefit, was very tangible to me, of us deciding to open the visitor center and to have the more public access space where people can come in and visit us and the likes, was it forced us to keep the place tidy.
Yeah.
And that has made such a difference to my mindset, because I walk into the studios now in the morning, and the place generally now is tidy. It's presentable as you walk through from one space to the next. Whereas before, between open times, like boot camps and stuff,
it just filled.
You would have walked in and there would have been boxes piled high. And
the hobby hall became a workroom.
But I don't mind a workroom, but by having that public access, it forces us to always be constantly tidying and constantly dealing with the things that would make things untidy. And it's been regardless of, if nobody ever visited us, it was worth it for that. Just to have that ability to be able to breathe. Because as I'll talk about later in the show, I have things that affect me.
Yeah.
And but this is one that has affected me in a very positive way, and I actually really enjoy walking into our environment, and being able to breathe.
Yeah. or not see everything waiting for you.
Yes.
Like when you walk through the door. I do the same with my studio. I clear my studio at the end of the day. I clear my desk. If there's stuff that needs to stay on the desk, it gets organised.
Yeah.
If there's paints I need for the next day, they get organised. But I don't walk in thinking I've got a job to do before I even do my job.
Yes.
You know what I mean? I walk in, it's nice and clean, right mental attitude, move on.
Yeah, good to go.
Yeah. Hobby time then.
Hobby time for me, bolt action with my lad.
Yes.
Play a lot of watch bolt action, and those who follow my channel will know that I do a lot of the Burma build. I'm big into my chindits and that sort of stuff. And
Drink.
As we start another one? Oh, God.
No, this one's been going for years.
Yeah, this one's been going for years. Many live shows. Yeah. But obviously I've been doing my Burma build, and I've reached a sort of point where I can deploy a table's worth of jungle terrain, thick jungle terrain now. And me and the lad have been playing bolt action for a while. He plays Japs. So we've been playing a few games, that sort of thing, and testing out the terrain to see how it works with bolt action.
Yeah.
With the different classifications of terrain types, the dense terrain, open terrain, that sort of stuff. Also finding can I get models in this jungle?
I'm just going to get you a bit closer.
A little bit closer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can I get, my units into these areas? Does it work as a gaming space, or is the terrain impeding what I'm trying to do? And is the terrain enabling the play or impeding the play?
Yeah.
Yeah. And we were refining that. And we had a game, over the weekend, nipped into the studio, set it all up. He mortared me off the table by turn 2, the little shit. Knee mortars, hundreds of them, it felt like. Yeah. And unfortunately, when you're in the jungle and you've got jungle terrain, you tend to clump up, don't you?
Yeah.
Those 2-inch templates hurt when you're clumped up.
That's the problem with walking down narrow trails.
Yeah.
Well, you've done a video on just your trails, haven't you?
Yeah. We did the video on just the trails and actually jungle it and darken them up. I've been going through this stage because I started my Burma build years ago. And obviously my techniques have advanced, and I look at my old stuff and I'm like, that's naff. You know what I mean? It's like, so I'm revisiting, and it's like, how can I tart this up? How can I use what I know now and sort of apply it
to the old stuff? Yes. Yeah, I'm very big on this actually, because I don't like throwing anything away, especially if we can kind of tart it up a bit,
repurpose it and
bring it back up to a level. And it's interesting you're talking about the jungle stuff actually, because a very good friend of mine today actually came up with an awesome idea for a participation game.
Here we go. Why do I feel dread?
No, it's great. And it came,
it's your idea, is it?
And it came like many things do, from something random.
You must have been on the train.
I was on the train on the way down.
This is the kind of idea that can only happen if you're on a train or on a toilet.
You mean when your brain has nothing useful to do?
Yeah.
So I said something like, I think I posted a little picture going, "Oh, I'm so bad about focusing on one thing." It's like,
Yes,
it's a person collecting balloons. It's like, here's a new project, and by the end they've got so many balloons they get lifted off the ground. It's like, and I'm going, it's exactly like me. So I posted in a few little links to different chats that I'm in, and then somebody responded with, I'm like that as well. And I went, you should be more like me, laser focused, so precise. And
then I responded with, "You're a goddamn focused tyrannosaur."
and because of that, I immediately went off to Hassle-Free, found a picture of the Jesse the Body Ventura Blaine model with his Gatling gun, and posted it immediately afterwards, and then went, hang on a minute, you could play Predator using the Walking Dead All-Out War rules, but you don't use the Predators aren't the walkers. The US soldiers are the walkers. You're playing a Predator and you're trying to scalp them. If you kill them up close, you get like 2 points. If you kill them from far away, it's your little tri-laser thing. You get 1. But when you're killing and you're making the noise, all of a sudden that means they're going to be attracted like the walkers would, and then we'll start gunning. You could stat up that squad of elite soldiers really well, and then just play through a dense jungle board with like two Predator players, one either side, seeing who can get the most kills.
I'll bring the
I'm
jungle.
going, how good would that be?
I in a heartbeat, I immediately thought, okay.
Mel, hang on. Did you just say you'll bring the jungle?
Oh, yes.
Jungle.
So 8x6.
Okay.
8x6 participation game with so where there's a squad of predators. The predators are competing against one another. Okay.
So
to try and see who gets the most kills.
heads.
It's all about
the skills.
The Youngbloods movie they did then.
There's only been one Predator. Well, there's 2 Predator movies, one in the jungle and one not in the jungle. That's all the Predator movies.
Yes, there are no other Predator movies.
No, let's forget that.
So there's only 2 tables that this can take place on, Justin. One is the jungle.
Yes.
And Mel, we have to have it utterly covered in leaves, because one of my favorite moments, Predator inspired me as a kid. Okay, Predator was part of the reason I wanted to join the armed forces, because it was like, that moment where where Arnie is commando crawling down the hill, through the leaves, and the leaves being pushed out of the way. So that table has to be covered in leaves. That has to happen. And the other table is a big meat factory.
And you just set up a couple of vapes at either side. Constantly blowing
just
smoke.
Justin and John, basically. Just on any normal day, Justin and John just breathing in. But imagine this, Justin. So suddenly, right, so in Walking Dead, right?
Yes.
Most of the time you're trying not to make noise.
Yes.
Okay. In this game, you're trying to selectively make noise.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's really interesting, because you're trying to do that, and then lead them in, and then hit them.
Are you going to allow yourself to like lay traps, have someone captured who's dead, leave a noisemaker on them to draw
You'd
them
need a
to
GM,
the...
wouldn't you?
You either need a gem, or there are event cards in The Walking Dead, so you make your own pack. So at that point, when your Predator flips the event card and discovers that there's one of those punji traps, or one of the tiger traps, or the stakes that somebody's put there, and just gets slapped in the face by one of those, you could really go whole hog with this.
What the
hell are you? Oh man, this would be great.
Get to the chopper.
We need a chopper on it. We need a chopper. But the thing about it is, this year I'm looking to try and see if we can create some participation.
Yeah.
Jerry's Rourke's Drift utterly inspired me. I didn't get the chance to talk about it because I wasn't on last week's show.
Yeah.
No, I know they've probably talked about it to death, but can I just say, I had the most wonderful gaming weekend that I have probably ever had. We had a load of folk here. We played a game. I laughed a lot. I learned a lot.
Yeah.
And I just had the most wonderful, wonderful gaming experience playing Rourke's Drift. Now,
And it's a very different style of game from a pick up and play.
Yes.
You're not coming in and playing 1,000-point bolt action or 2,000-point 40k or whatever. It's
an event,
It's an
isn't
event
it?
in itself.
7 hours.
Yeah, I mean that's an event.
9 people plus GM.
But the thing about it is, it almost took us as long to play Rourke's Drift as it took them to fight it.
Yeah.
But it
Probably
was
not far off,
it was fun. Well, I say 7 hours. I suppose we did deduct lunch from that, didn't we?
It was pizza break time. Yeah.
But it was just wonderful. It was wonderful to throw loads of dice for all of us around the table. Everything, just the tension built up. It was just a wonderful, wonderful experience. And it felt like, I don't want to say proper wargaming, but it felt like the kind of experience of wargaming that you only get from a participation game where a group of friends or a group of people who can become friends get together and just enjoy it.
A small analogy, it's a bit like orcs. The idea that the more orcs you get together, the more psychic they get, the more, you know what I mean? And you get enough gamers together and we get a decent enough table. It's the same thing. It psychs you up for it.
Yeah. Well, this is
feedback off each other, so
off that weekend, I was saying to Jerry and some of the other folk, look, I would like us to, over the course of the next couple of years, create a few big participation games, generally 8x6, enough for about 10 people to get involved in, that we would have boxed up here and that we can run unplugged events or whatever, and we can just say, okay, this weekend we're going to bring out such and such. Just to have these big event games, the stuff that you don't often get to play, and just open the visitor center on a Sunday or something, and let folk just enjoy a real wonderful experience. And the Predator one, Jerry, I think
the Predator one would be a winner.
I think it could be a lot of fun.
I'll tell you how you could make it a little bit more interesting. Throw a drug cartel in there as well. Because that's what the soldiers would have been in.
Yes.
South
that's
America
what they went in to deal with in the first place. Yeah.
So you've got the cartel guys running around at one side. You've got the soldiers. Still use same mechanics. But that sort of gives you the elite soldiers, and then it gives you the schizo guys who are off their heads on whatever they're taking.
It's really interesting actually, because then you get to break it into two teams. Because your US soldiers were effectively AI controlled anyway. So you could have a group of people playing one Predator each. And then you could have the other group playing one utterly spaced out cartel guy each. It could be really interesting.
The dynamics on that could be interesting.
So that's going to be mulling away in my head for the next few months.
Well, you mull it, I'll build the terrain.
Just waiting now, hassle-free, just need to release the rest of the miniatures. I know that Dutch is coming because I've seen the Dutch green.
Just hassle-free.
Just Arnie, just there, smoking a big cigar. I'm going, that's just awesome. I need this in my life.
Who was it? Studio Miniatures. Do you remember Turf War Z?
Yes.
And they had a couple of the characters out of it.
Well, that's true, they did, I have some studio stuff as well.
I'm sure we could track it down. I'm sure we could track it down. It'd be a lot of fun.
Although, who gets to play Arnie?
Oh, dice off.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's got to be a dice off because everyone wants to be Arnie.
Yeah.
Uzi 9mm.
Get to the chopper. My son does that perfectly. Yeah, he is. He's got to get to the chopper down to a T. He said it once. I thought he was watching the film.
I was teaching my little ones that, and I think it was little Max. He would only been about 2 or 3 at the time, and I'd taught Manny Uzi 9mm, and then for little Max it was I was trying to teach him I'll be back, and all I ever got was me be back. It was very, very cute.
All I ever got off my daughter was multipass.
Multipass.
We named Corbin after Corbin Dallas.
Yes.
And then when Willow came along, I bottled it on calling her Lilu. The wife was like, we're calling her Lilu. I'm like, no, you can't call her Lilu. So we went with Willow. Yeah, but I so wish now we called her Lulu, because World Book Day, any sort of event, their costumes would be perfect.
Yes. Yeah.
Who have you come as? Corbin. And what's your name? Corbin.
Any more hobby time from you guys?
I'm good.
Good here.
Okay, right. Well, my hobby time. First up, on the subject of participation games, myself and Gaz got a chance to sit down. So one of the participation games that I'm working on at the moment, Mel, is a game celebrating, I suppose, Operation Chariot. So the raid on Saint Nazaire.
Right,
okay?
Yeah.
So Saint Nazaire was it's a fairly famous raid.
I know it.
You know it.
Yeah.
Perfect. That's good.
See the film.
They all know it because I've talked to death about it. So Gaz, who was one of the people that worked on Paranoid Miniatures on Mythos. He's a community member, and he's been helping me with this and just brainstorming the rule sets and stuff like that. So I'm looking at scaling the game up to actually 8x6.
Yeah.
And we started to focus a little bit on the game is played in phases, okay? So there's kind of this gamified setup phase before you actually get into the moving minis around and doing all the shooting and battles and stuff like that there. So we started to talk a little bit about the gamification of the setup phase. Yeah. So the setup phase originally in my mind was about the ship, and the ship. You could. It was kind of like a push your luck kind of a thing, where how you navigated the ship had potentially an impact on how much alarm level the Germans and stuff were at whenever you actually came to land your commandos into the place to take on battle. Gaz has been able to help me really go to town on this phase. So it's now it's one phase, but it now involves 3 assets. Okay, so the 3 assets are: firstly, there's the Campbelltown. So the Campbelltown is the main destroyer. Is it a destroyer? Yes, it's a destroyer, not a battleship. Yeah, so it's the main destroyer. So you've got this kind of like a push your luck thing, depending on where you sail the Campbelltown. It can make it easier for the Campbelltown to get there, but you're maybe more likely to trigger the Germans' awareness and stuff like that. Second is the MLs. Okay. And the MLs is a push your luck based on the number of commandos that you have available at the end, because only I estimate about 1/3 of the commando force was on the Campbelltown itself. The other 2/3 were spread across the MLs, the wooden boats. So it's a real kind of see how many MLs you can get to the end of this, because those MLs will also then trigger stuff in the last phase, the end phase, which is the escape phase, because those MLs could be available then to try and evacuate the guys. And then the third one was something I hadn't thought of at all, but I think it's utter genius. In the run-up to Operation Chariot, there were spies, Allied spies working in the area. And those Allied spies were trying to get on-the-ground information and stuff like that. So, actually, there's a fourth one. I'll talk about it in a second. So it's all coming back to me now. But one of the push your luck things during this initial phase is you have spy assets, and you're pushing your luck to push your spies further and further into the actual operations area of Saint Nazaire. And the more you push them, the more likely they are to be detected and bad things will happen. But if they're not detected, then your commandos get a lot of buffs. Because they know better the terrain that they're about to go into. So in certain terrain areas, if that is where a spy has been able to drop a token, whenever they get there, they get a significant advantage over the enemy assets that unlock in that particular zone. The last one was the RAF.
I was just going to say, what a complete cluster that was.
So the RAF had a real torrid time of it with Saint Nazaire, because whenever they got there was cloud cover. Which meant that they couldn't actually conduct a bombing run. The bombing run was supposed to be a distraction. But it ended up just alerting them because it was badly executed. 4 bombs fell on the place. So what we're going to try and do during that initial phase is have a weather effect. So the weather might be slightly different for our recreation. And in that case, you can decide whether you'll have decisions to make as to whether the RAF actually do something, don't do something, or end up doing something badly.
That's really interesting, because they weren't allowed to drop bombs sight unseen because civilian property damage and civilian targets weren't allowed to be bombed as part of the sort of the agreement with the French allies. So they arrived, there was cloud cover, and nobody had told them what to do if they couldn't drop the bombs. So the RAF bombers just did donuts over the top of Saint Nazaire, repeatedly going, what should we do?
What do we do?
Drop? Can we? No, we can't. No, keep going. Run out of fuel. Time to go home. And the Germans were going, what are they doing up there?
Yeah.
Something's
up.
Something's happening.
Something's
so
up.
I actually alerted the Germans. So the fact that you could have that little, is there a break in the clouds? Oh, you might be able to get a few bombs down there now.
Yeah.
But also, you might also tip it away. If whether they're smart enough to release their bombs.
Yeah, but you might also have it that if they hang around too long without dropping the bombs, the Germans get a better chance of noticing them.
Yeah,
true.
So with the three aspects of it, the Campbelltown and the MLs is one part.
So
the spies,
air, land, and sea.
Combined arms.
It's starting to get interesting now, isn't it? So as a group, as a participation group, we would be discussing, what are we going to do, in each of these areas during this build-up phase, and then what we want to have is lots of nice kind of tokens being dropped on the board and stuff like this. So, for example, if bombs are dropped, there might be areas, zones that you just can't go into now because they've been bombed. So that would change your assault patterns and stuff that you would do. It would change the nature of the mission that your commandos are going to have to try and undertake, because you could find, for example, that a bomb actually dropped on the lock gate, and maybe it was enough to destroy the lock gate
on the
or the pumping house.
On a foobar charge, you could have it so the bombs drop while the commandos are in the town. Can you imagine that? Timing goes wrong.
That would be very bad.
But you could have it that there's an event where they actually stumble on unexploded ordnance.
Yes, you could have unexploded.
There were docks. There'd be munition stores there.
Yeah. So this is why I'm loving this whole, because it's not just affecting the arc of the threat, the alarm level. Okay, it's actually setting up a lot of opportunities that then trigger during the game.
Yeah.
So as your commandos start to move into different areas, I was so excited. I was jumping up and down. So Gaz has sent me through basically a list of questions. I'm mulling through them at the moment. I have a vibe for this game. It's not a war game in its traditional sense. It's like a giant board game.
Yeah, it's a board game you've scaled up to.
Yeah. And I'm just the more we get into it, the more excited I'm getting by it, because I didn't even know, and I've read it. I bought books on Saint Nazaire, and I completely skipped over the whole point of the spies. And then when Gaz came in with all his research on it and says, have you checked this and you checked that, what about spies? And I thought, that's fun. There's fun to be had there.
It's quite a large game to play and quite a lot of random elements. If you change the random elements to choice and you could choose your difficulty level, and to say, right, we're going to go easy so the Campbelltown gets in undetected, our motor launchers get in, the spies work, and then the flip side, everything goes foobar. And play that game, just see how that pans out. The one thing I'd be concerned about, and I think you and Gaz will sort this, is the randomization. It leads to a chance where things can go too well. And then that sort of kills the game, because you're already halfway there because everything went well in the set. Well, do you see what I mean?
Possibly. Possibly.
Well, is it going to be a risk that has a GM?
It's a risk and reward basis. So here's the thing. If it has went very, very well, it's because it hasn't went very, very badly. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I get you.
So in order for it to have went very well, you've had to risk it going very badly. So if you've managed to get all three of those elements, bear in mind each of them have multiple points. So it's not just one choice. Oh, that all went well. Each of them have a track that they go along.
It's the ultimate follow-on bet, isn't it? You know what I mean?
That's what it is. And it's like, at what point?
How often can you keep going all in?
How ballsy are you? How far do you want to push this?
And the thing about it is, if it has went that well, it's because you've pushed it and you have,
you deserve it.
You deserve it. At that point, but it's still not going to make it easy. It just means that your commandos are going to have more time before larger amounts of troops and stuff are rushing in. So all you're really doing, in many respects, is buying yourself time because the alarm level is lower. Maybe with the spies having more zones where you have more intel, so you get a better, you get more advantage if you're in those zones in terms of your ability to hit the enemy. Or
the other thing is sabotage and drawing troops out of the area.
Well, yeah, one of the key things is you want to try and keep those levels low, because the more low those levels are, the more of your enemy troops that are going to be, they're all AI driven.
Yeah.
They're going to automatically gravitate towards the Campbelltown itself and go on board. And then once they're on board, they're mostly going to stay on board, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Well, here's something for you, Warren. Is it going to be a game that's going to run on its own, or are you going to have a GM?
No, I don't think it needs a GM.
No, because it'll essentially be a board game.
Yeah.
The fact that it's a board game that you're going to be playing with those long pushy stick things that they are.
We've got to get the uniform, man.
Because it's huge.
Yeah.
But it is just going, what if I scale this game up 500% from a standard board to a...
No, in saying, when you say a GM, it will always play better if you have somebody there who understands the story, and then can elaborate and say, "Look, this is what's happening." Because that was what made Rorke's Drift very special for me. Was it was strange questions, but I was asking things like, "What were the motivation of the
what happened here,
of the
what happened
Zulus?"
there, and then going. Well, the motivation was they got left behind when all their friends were fighting the big fight earlier that day, and it was just a case of we haven't got any glory out of this fight. They've just beaten the British Army. Let's just have that place. And then they just ran off by themselves.
So it doesn't necessarily need to be a GM, but certainly a storyteller.
Somebody who can fill in the blanks. And
is a wonderful thing to have. But this game doesn't, the game mechanics itself doesn't need a manager, a master.
Yeah.
But certainly when we play it, I'm very much looking forward to Jerry doing a bit of storytelling in and around it.
Oh, so hang on. You're going to play and you're not going to let him play.
What? No. The storyteller will play. But I mean, just somebody there to elaborate on.
It's a joke from last week, because Jerry has been working on Rorke's Drift for 3 years.
And he's never played it.
He's played
it once.
I played it once last week.
Sorry, that's the joke I was making.
Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, it was great fun.
It's a good game.
And now he's completely changed the rules.
Right. So, second bit of hobby.
Yep.
Can I bring it up?
Yeah.
Go for it.
Well, this is going to be a piece of hobby. So a community member sent me this. So this is Wolf 320F. Phil, as we know him. Phil sent me a letter. This just makes me gooey inside whenever I get a letter. I'm not going to read the letter out, Phil, but it may. Thank you so much, man. It was a wonderful, wonderful letter to read, and I and all the team really appreciate it. Phil has got into 3D printing.
Right.
And Phil has put me to shame because he's so good at it. So he has been printing out this on a printer that was half the price of the original printer that I got. Less than half price, probably maybe a third of the price. And he's having so much success with it.
Yeah.
So this is one of the towers from the guys over at printable scenery .com. Okay. And so he's printed this out, and he has sent me this. So I have got the joy of putting this together and playing with some of the finishing touches on it. I'm really looking forward to it. Hasn't it turned out really well? Isn't it lovely?
I gravitated towards it the minute I came in the studio and seen it lying there, and it was sitting in John's room and sort of in sections. I was like, ooh.
Yeah.
Look at it build up.
You see, that's the thing I hate about 3D printing. The detail you can get on it. As a terrain maker, that's what you struggle with, isn't it?
Yeah.
And when you see the 3D prints, and it's like, that would take me weeks.
And this is it.
You know what I mean? To replicate.
It's not that it's not achievable through traditional methods. It's the time you have to put into doing it.
And the skill. The time and the skill. It's what you achieve in that is extraordinary. My hobby time mostly this week I can't talk about because I'm working on some cool stuff for you guys behind the scenes with Lloyd, and Lloyd has me on strict instructions that I'm not allowed to talk about it.
Don't do it, man. He will freak.
I just wanted to see what would happen.
I'm not going to talk about it. I wonder, can I talk about the other thing, though?
What's the other thing?
I have 3 things that I'm desperate to talk to the community about.
But you can't.
But Lloyd has me kind of on strict instructions not to talk about it in case there's issues with it.
You see, Dave does that with me.
He's so
on the book. He's like,
Yeah.
you can't talk about that yet. You can't talk about that yet.
Right. Okay. Look, one of the things is we're actually working with the guys at printablescenery.com.
Oh, you sure of the... Oh, careful now. Careful now.
Okay, so it's dependent on, we've got some stuff to get right. Basically what we're doing is we're going to be launching a digital partworks. Okay, for our backstage members. We're going to be doing a digital partworks in 3D printing. Okay, where every month we're going to have a new model for you guys to download and keep and use and print, and we're going to have content on how we printed it and how we finished it and how we
Very nice.
Yeah. So we're working with the guys at Printable Scenery. It's going to be a new feature of what we do with you guys, where we have this. I don't know exactly what it's going to be called. The whole thing. Horatio Noseblower, if you're watching this, come up, give me another cool name, man. Print Club or something. You know what I mean? Horatio comes up with wonderful names.
Can't be Print Club. You want people to talk about Print
Oh
Club.
yes. So, but it's part of a growing partworks that we're going to be putting together. We're in the stages at the moment where we're just testing stuff out on the printers and stuff that we have. So that is the phase that we have to get through first. Make sure that everything that we can print it, or do we need to change the kit and stuff like that, or improve it? And then we're going to be running into this, and then every month there's a lot of cool stuff on the way that's going to be kicking in on that monthly basis. So. Phil, I might get you to print the stuff for me, man. But it's no, it should be good, and it should be a lot of fun. I want to the topic of this episode. I'm loosely calling it opening up.
Yeah. It's not easy, is it?
Yeah, it's Phil opened up to me in this letter. Phil has had it rough. He's had a rough time of it, and he basically just explained, look, you know, I've been through the mill here. I just want to thank the team, because in some ways, by being there, we've helped him by being there. For a long time, I've wanted to broach the subject of opening up, because I'm not exactly sure how to have this conversation.
No one ever is.
Yeah, we're
And then-
manly men at the height of our manliness.
And then Mel came in, and Mel, you've had this kind of conversation.
Mate, this conversation has been my life. Yeah, and it's something I'm passionate about. I mean, by trade, I'm a physiotherapist. I'm a combat medic.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Caring for people, medicine is my trade. Okay, and being a sufferer, you know, of problems and stuff like that, and being then put in the YouTube situation, and my YouTube channel was rehab for me. You know, we can go into that into more depth, but I literally threw myself far forward. So I'm very comfortable talking about this, a lot more comfortable than people are listening. You know what I mean? Because it is, we've attached a stigma to mental health that doesn't belong there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because we don't understand it. A broken leg, we understand. You get a broken leg, no one even cares.
Yeah.
I mean, other than signing your cast and, oh, you off work, are you? Yeah. Oh, you got flu? Yeah, know that. Get better.
Yeah.
Yeah. You say mental health. Ooh.
Have you not tried getting over it?
God, yeah. That really works. Just get over it.
just
Yeah,
get-
that'll work it. Because, I mean, you know, my body hormones and my endocrine levels are all over the place. And just get over that.
Just just smile it through. Yeah.
Well, this letter from Phil is only one of loads of letters that have basically been very similar, of people that have opened up to us.
Yeah.
And I want to open up.
Okay.
I am on medication.
Right, what are you on?
I'm on a medication called sertraline,
Yeah.
which I've got to say has been very good.
Yeah.
Hello, I'm Warren, and I'm probably more of a broken human being than I would care to.
We're all
publicly
broken
admit.
human beings, mate.
So my issue, I don't know exactly when what I live with developed. I have a suspicion that aspects of it have always been there.
Yeah.
As a child, I was always considered hyperactive. I struggled through school and then utterly excelled at university. It was very, very strange because I couldn't concentrate on stuff that I wasn't interested in. As an adult, Andrea very kindly supported me and worked with me and started to look at this thing called ADHD. I have never been able to get a diagnosis. I went through the doctor and to the NHS, and they sent me to the mental health team, where I explained to them the impact that this has on my life. I can't handle money. Right. Andrea has to do that for me. I don't handle the finances within our family. Yeah. I just can't do it. Within Beasts of War, we have Peter Bond, our accountant, and we have Julie who does the bookkeeping. Because I'm incapable of being able to handle it. I freeze at the prospect of it. It has been very sore on my family because of my inability to either concentrate, or I find myself going into almost like a hyper concentration where I block everything out. I can have so much going on in my mind at any one point that I have almost nothing going on in my mind at any one point. And then where it led to was a crippling anxiety, and that's what led to me a few months ago giving in. Did I give in? Andrea says I didn't give in. Andrea said I manned up, and I went to the doctor and opted to go on to some medication because I had reached a point. For me, the turning point in my life was in 2000. My just right bang in January 2000, we had been through the whole millennium thing, and I was looking forward to we're now in the millennium. It's and my dad was diagnosed with a brain tumor, and he died about 6 months later. But it was one of those things that it was a very strange sequence of events because we didn't actually know what he had. He walked around with it for a month, and then it was a case of it can be this or this, and every time it was the worst thing. And it took. He wasn't just my dad, he was my best friend. Yeah. In all the world, he was my best friend. And it took him away in so much as even the treatment actually caused him harm. And he went into the convulsions and ended up with a swollen brain because of the radiotherapy, and it gave him brain damage, and then he couldn't move and stuff. And it utterly terrified me, and it broke me in ways that I have had nothing but guilt for 19 years because I found it hard to even look at him. Yeah, because he wasn't
your dad.
He was, but he was. It was just the effect that it had was just unreal. I coped with it after he died by spending 2 years on the bottle. Yeah. I was in business with Lloyd. We were doing digital media. I traveled the world, and I was perpetually drunk for about 2 years. I met a girl, and we partied a lot, and we got married.
Yeah.
And then we came back here. We made a life for ourselves here, and I stopped drinking and started to try and make a life.
Yeah.
And she wasn't able to. And after 8 years of being together, we reached the point where we could no longer be together. And during that, my hypochondria, I developed a hypochondria, where the slightest thing, I think the worst possible thing.
Yeah.
And it's a hypochondria not only for me, but it's a hypochondria for everybody that I care about.
You go through life, and when things hit you so many times so hard, you just expect everything to come like that. And your brain your brain just says, if I prepare for that, I'm best equipped to deal with life.
Yeah.
If you're always thinking it's going to be the worst, then if it's not, that's a step
Great.
up. Yeah.
So a headache ends up the worst thing in the world for me. A headache in one of my children ends up in the worst thing in the world for me. It even down to silly things like the school bus is running late, and before I know it, I find myself, I've walked a quarter of a mile up the road to look for it without even realizing I'm doing it, because I'm afraid that I'm going to find it in a ditch. I immediately jump instinctively to a worst case scenario well beyond, and that has had not only an effect on me, but that has had an effect on my family, because I don't share it with them.
No, it's actually a survival mechanism.
Yeah.
It's actually quite common. Yeah. When you go through, like I say, when you go through that much trauma, your brain works on this level, because your brain, all your brain's trying to do is keep you alive. That's its only job, your subconscious. You know what I mean? And when you go through all those things, it becomes your norm that even though consciously the bus hasn't gone into a ditch. Yeah, there's a traffic lights up the road. It's in a queue. I mean, let's be honest. When was the last time a school bus went in a ditch in the UK?
Yeah.
I had it when my son went skiing. Yeah, and I was like, I need to know he's there. I need to know he's safe. No British school kid has ever come to harm on a skiing holiday. Yeah, but it's still in you. Yeah, and that's the change in the brain chemistry. Yeah, the wiring. I mean, your brain adapts to the situations, and the more bad situations you put yourself in, it gears itself to deal with those. The problem is, it gears itself through preparation, and its way through preparation is, you're screwed. Everything that's coming is screwed, so let's just deal with it that way.
A couple of years back, I sat with, I went to my doctor, and I explained to her, I just don't seem to be able to get on top of this. So I got to speak with a counsellor. Her name was Giselle, and she was French, and she's a very special lady to me, because she helped me unlock. She peeled me like an onion, man. Yeah. And I was supposed to go for 6 weeks. I think I ended up going for nearly the guts of a year, because she kept at the end, she'd say, would you like to continue? And every time I said, yes, absolutely. I learned so much about myself, and I came out of that, and I was able to at least understand what my brain was doing. And then about a year ago, I fell and I hurt my back, and I got pains in my back. And of course, I thought the worst. Yeah. And what I've noticed is that whenever I'm stressed, I actually get pains almost all over my body. I get pains in my midriff. I get pains down my legs. The stress just cripples me. And I must be on the sertraline now about 6 months, because about 7 months ago, maybe 8 months ago, I took I suppose an attack of an anxiety that was one of the worst that I'd ever had. I could not shift it. No amount of reasoned thought was able to move it. Yeah. I was breaking out into cold sweats. I was in constant pain. I was going out and walking for miles in the rain and coming home and not even registering the amount that I'd been out. I just couldn't shift this sense of fear. So I went to the doctor and she said, "Are you ready for medication?" I went, "Yes." Do you know what? I'm ready for anything. I've reached that point where I had said, "Look,
if that's not failing, that's
I can't
correcting.
I can't even talk to my children. I talk to Andrea about being a broken individual in so much as I love my children, Mel. I love them more than anything in the world.
That's obvious.
But I get afraid when I'm cuddling them. I would hold them and feel a sense of anxiety wash over me just by holding them there because of the
you're going to have to let them go.
Yeah. And so I have a level of discomfort doing the thing that I love most in the world. And that is interacting with my beautiful, beautiful children. And it's someday they will know this. I've never told them. Maybe someday in the future they'll become a backstager. But it's that level of discomfort. I get it even with Andrea at times. I love her to bits, but to try and relax among them, it's almost like this compulsion to. It's just I'm a broken human being in so many respects.
The thing is, you say you're broken, but you're not. Everything that you say is actually perfectly normal. It's just exaggerated. Your fear of anxiety of when you let your go, it's parenthood. We all worry about our kids. The problem is, with mental health, you get this reinforcing situation. And with every reinforcement and every incident, it gets a little bit bigger.
Ramps it up.
Yeah, so your normal sort of parental anxiety that we all have, otherwise we wouldn't give a damn about our kids and we'd let them run off into fire.
Yeah.
Well, we would. So, we're anxious about our kids. Are they all right? But you get this situation where everything in your body is glands, it's hormones.
And it becomes a negative feedback loop.
Exactly, yeah. And the more it happens, the better those glands get at pumping that juice out into your blood system, and the stronger the effect. And that's anxiety disorder. I mean, anxiety disorder works simply as like this. You have your adrenal glands. Your adrenal glands are responsible for putting adrenaline into your bloodstream in a flight or flight situation. And we know what that is. Yeah, shut down anything external. Macro focus on on whatever the issue is. Your senses spark up, all that sort of stuff. If you're going through a situation where you are consciously anxious, you're essentially putting your adrenal glands through a boot camp gym. Yeah, and they're beefing up. And at the same time, they're getting very sensitive. The more you do something, the better the body gets at doing it, and the quicker it gets at doing it. Train your brain. Yeah, the more you do brain training, the quicker you get. The more you go to the gym, the bigger your muscles get. Yeah. And you also get a neurological response the faster your nerves work to those muscles. Okay? And this is all from physio. But the same applies to the adrenal glands. So what you get is this situation where you've got these souped up adrenal glands who can deliver a near lethal dose of adrenaline. Yeah, on a hair trigger that would make a Luger blush. Yeah. And then what you get is this situation where normal little bit of anxiety, i.e., I'm a little bit worried about my kids, your brain goes, we're dying. Yeah. Flush the system. It gets a massive flush. Yeah.
And that would explain why I almost get into instant pain.
Yeah, it is.
It's a real pain.
Yeah. Crushing of the chest.
I get it in around the midriff. Where I just
stomach spasms. Do you know why?
Tightens up. And
do you know why?
Why?
Because in a fight or flight response situation, one of the things your body does is it moves 70% of your blood at rest is in your gut processing food. Yeah. So in a fight or flight situation, it shifts it to the muscles. That's why you throw up when you're in shock. It's the body's mechanism of get the food out of the system so I don't need the blood in the gut and I can move it to my muscles and get moving. The problem is when you get that massive shift, you get muscle cramping. Because you've probably still got food in your stomach that needs to be processed.
I always have food in my stomach.
Yeah, but you know what I mean? There's a biological process going on, and then there's the survival mechanism that rips it apart. Yeah, I mean, when you look at anxiety disorder, everyone turns around and says, it feels like my heart is going to jump out of my chest. Yeah, because your body's filled with adrenaline.
Yeah.
That's the stuff they put in you to bring you back when you've had a heart attack.
Yeah, I go through. We'll almost get to a point where I can faint.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did faint on
Your legs go weak.
on the toilet.
Yeah.
Actually, once because when Andrea was pregnant with which one was it? I think it was Max. When Andrea was pregnant with Max, we had a small scare. During one of the checks, they found a something.
Yeah.
And then they sent her up to Belfast to get this iodine test. Now, ladies can get a thing called an abrasion. There is a lot of things that they can get that are not a major problem.
Yeah.
But that wasn't what was in my head.
Yeah.
And then I Googled it.
The worst thing ever.
And I passed out on the toilet.
Do you know why you passed out? Blood flows from the gut.
Yeah.
In a panic situation, you're on the toilet. Yeah. That involves something called a Valsalva's maneuver, which is a high pressure thing. Your body goes, I've got no blood in my gut. Yeah. I've got we're bleeding out. Faint. So you can get blood to the brain. Because, I mean, that's why you faint, to level the level between the heart and the brain.
It was just the fear just overcame me.
Yeah.
And I just, the fear of losing the most important person in my life. And part of it is a big selfish reason in that Andrea manages my life. You know, Andrea deserves a medal, I swear to God, for holding our family together with the bullshit that I go through, you know. But that fear of losing my new best friend, it just was enough to tip me over the edge to the point where I actually just passed out. And I'm tired, Mel.
It's fatigue.
I am tired. You know, it's been going on. It's been going on a very long time.
Yeah.
And I told you I went to try and get help with the ADHD and stuff. I got to meet the mental health team.
Yeah.
And I was sent in to talk to this girl.
Yeah.
And told her pretty much what I've been telling you guys. You know, I'm struggling. So she asked me what I did for a living and blah, 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 blah. And then they called Andrea in afterwards to ask her, and Andrea explained it. And she says, well, he's clearly highly functioning. So, and that was it. I never heard back from them. And then when I was getting my medication, I said to the doctor, I went to that mental health team and I talked to them. And she said, she looked at my notes and she said, did they not get back to you? And I said, no. She says, well, it's on here that they don't diagnose ADHD in adults. So you're on your own. You can get it done privately. And the thing about it is
Where's the holistic approach there?
the diagnosis aspect of this is my mum.
Go on.
Bless her. I love my mum very much. But my mum is very much of the word that would come out of her mouth is, why do you want to label yourself like that? And my explanation to her was, Mama, I don't feel it as a label. I feel it as I begin to understand who I am. You know, and I'm not doing it from a label perspective. I'm doing it to embrace it in the right way.
Yeah.
Because who I am has some positives in there. And by knowing the way I operate, the way I work, I'm able to play to my strengths.
Yeah.
And I'm able to more understand the pressure that I put on other people that I previously wouldn't have understood that was what I was doing.
Yeah.
It's weird that they take that view of that particular issue, because I know for depression, part of it is trying to help you understand what your triggers are.
Yeah.
What will trigger a depressive state in you. And if you know what's going to trigger it, you can either try and avoid them. And if they're not avoidable, you at least know it's coming because you're in that situation. It might not be today. It might be 2 or 3 days later that I'll find myself in bed for fucking 12 hours.
Yeah.
You've dealt with this, haven't you?
Oh, I had a massive nervous breakdown when I was 21. So about 19, 20 years, about 20 years ago. And part of that, because I went through, I'm not on medication anymore because I was always terrible at taking it, and you need to be taking it long term to get through it. But knowing that certain things will trigger an attack, as part of the reason why my hobby room is probably a shit tip as well, is that I will go very close to a borderline manic state, and I'll just start everything I can start. I can start 5 armies today and 3 train projects, and I'll lay everything out, and then tomorrow I won't get out of bed. And then the day after I'll look at everything that I've put out today and go, I can't cope with that. I can't face that. I've put too much shit out there, and it just goes like, and you just sort of cycle through it. And you may get a bout where for a couple of weeks I'm feeling particularly balls. Now, I lost my job over this years ago. I was in the civil service, and by that stage I was still young enough that I thought I can cope. I don't need anybody else. And I ended up staying in a friend's house for about 6 months. I think I'd more or less lived in their sitting room, just kept on the couch. Had a house of my own, didn't go back to it, just never didn't want to leave there. And then
I'm comfortable here.
Yeah, I'm comfortable here. Nothing can touch me here. Don't need to worry about my job. They'll keep paying me. I'll still have a job. Don't even need to let them know that I'm fucked in the head. So that didn't work. Top tip, folks, if you do end up going through something like this, let your employer know. But now I've got
also very quick top tip: if you do let your employer know, your job is protected by law.
And that was it. If I'd even had the gumption to say that, I wouldn't be, thing. But since that point, I still go through these massive periods of mania and periods of depression, but I know how to cope with them. And in the past 15 years, even though I've gone through them, I've never missed a day of work because of it. And there was a certain amount of adjustment that my employer brought in as well to help me if I did run it. And they were very, understanding that there may be days where X, Y, and Z will happen, and maybe that's not a good time to send me to deal with a customer who's irate about X, Y, and Z. That was the customer service day. This is not a good time to send Jerry up there, because that will not be a happy customer at the end of this conversation. But over the past, over 15 years, I think I had 7 days off work, and none of them were related to my depression. And that was partly down to the fact that I'd eventually seen a counsellor. It did take a while, because it's unfortunately with the NHS, it's probably the worst funded part is the mental health part by a country mile. And it is something they're only starting to deal with. But because I know little things, certain things that will trigger me and certain things that I'll do when I'm doing it, I know to try and not have that reinforcement loop kicking in. I will still put all the things on the table and go, I can do all of this. But, I don't let that get me down as much when I'm coming off the back of it then, because, and there's times where you go, oh, this is fantastic. Oh, I know what's coming next. And it might be 2 days' time, but that dip will follow that high at some point. And it's just preparing yourself as much as anything else.
You become self-aware after a while. I mean, for me personally, you'll remember last year probably I put out my Black Dog video. Where I sort of I got to March and I'm like, I'm not sleeping. I'm not eating. I'm not exercising. I'm not loving my wife. And I mean, I'm not feeling love to my wife, which is rare because I love Kez to bits. I'm not connecting with my kids. And then I've got depression. I was able to recognize it. And then immediately, start bloody eating boast. Go to bed at a normal time.
Eating what?
Just anything.
Anything.
Yeah. It's very easy just to go.
Do you feel tired?
I'm too.
You're fatigued. You've got low energy. You're burning through those. That is is not carbohydrates. That's a quick sugary boost that will disappear.
It's caffeine.
It's 15 minutes. It's gone. I'm talking about. I want cereal in the morning. So when I wake up, I'm not walking round for the first 4 hours just on a coffee and caffeine and a bit of sugar. I want some food in my belly. Because it gives me the energy. And it's the energy that gives you the ability to cope with things. Same with sleep. The moment you get depression, you can't sleep at night because everything's on your mind. Then the first thing up at the first light. And you're anxious at the moment you wake up. So you force yourself into getting a bad sleep pattern. And that makes a massive difference. exercise. Exercise is
huge.
brilliant
Yeah.
for depression.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and all I mean by exercise is I walk the dog.
Yeah, go for a walk.
Yeah, I've done that in my youth. I've done the physical stuff. Don't need to do that. Don't need to prove anything. But I will walk my dog up the hill and back again. It's a couple of miles. I come back. Yeah, the dog's panting. I've got a smile on my face. You know what I mean? Because as I'm doing these, as you do physical exercise, your body releases endorphins.
Yeah.
Endorphins are feel-good chemicals. They combat, what you call it? If you sit on a sofa worrying and you don't do anything, there's nothing to encourage endorphins to be released.
Yeah.
And so you don't feel good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I do things that I know will cause I mean, you've got to remember, for me, my mental health was, I'm going to swear, but fucking hell, it was a car crash, like a multi-car pile-up. I went through, my business collapsed and all that sort of stuff, tail end. I used to have a business selling, medical supplies, physiotherapy supplies for sports. Yeah, got into it, a couple of staff, all that sort of stuff. Built it up, crashed at the recession. Yeah, and that hit me hard, but you pick yourself up.
Yeah.
Then along the same times, Corbin, my wife developed a D-sized breast implant cyst on her liver at the same time as being pregnant. So 3 months into the pregnancy, she was admitted into hospital. She lived in hospital for 3 months whilst they made the decision whether they should terminate the pregnancy to save her. And then as we got closer to the 3 months, the larger the fetus got, the more the cyst got pushed up, the more it pressed against her heart and lungs. Yeah, and as a physio, seeing that her BP and that sort of stuff and knowing what it meant, scariest thing ever. And the doctors were having conversations about, right, the longer the baby stays in, the better for the baby. The longer the baby stays in,
the worse for the mother.
Yeah. And I actually had a doctor come up to me and say, look, if we can only save one.
Who is it?
Yeah. Yeah, and then follow on to that. Yeah, obviously, business collapsed, lost the house. My daughter got meningitis. Yeah, and all that was dealt with in a week. But the trauma, because when you're aware and you have a look at that, she's 42. 42 is bad. That's a septic. She's septic. I'm half an hour from the hospital. I mean, I've driven ambulances as a medic in the army. I have never driven an ambulance as fast as those Amtech mech. I mean, he even turned round to me and he goes, hold on. Yeah, and he floored it. We got to the hospital. Yeah, we reversed into the bay. Yeah, and I'm standing by the doors. Yeah, the doors open and the biggest nurse you have ever seen in your life grabs me, throws me out, and all I see is I've landed on the floor. I haven't even landed on my feet. Yeah, because I'm all over the place. All I see is these doctors run into the back of the ambulance because it's that bad. Yeah. You know what I mean? After that, we lost the house. My entire family had to move in with my mother. Yeah, and up until moving into my mum, I call it a cry for help. Yeah, I did a couple of slashes across my wrist. Yeah, to visualize so there was something physical, so I could go to the doctor and say, I'm broken. Yeah, I need help, because there was me. I'm not ill. Yeah, but I was in such a bad state. So, I mean, they picked me up, they put me on some tabs and that sort of stuff. And then we came back to Stoke because we were living in Wales. Then I had 2 years of a corporate job for an old client. That was hell on earth. Yeah, and then we had this one evening where, right, do this. It in for a penny, in for a pound. So we have this one evening, and my wife, I don't talk about my childhood. Been married for nearly what? Shit, we're coming on closer. We've been together for 20 years, married for 18. You know what I mean? Yeah, and I've never talked about it. So we'd had a couple of beers and she was pushing the point. And the floodgates came down. And I just turned around and said, I don't talk about childhood because I was abused all through it. Yeah. And it was, I walked away from my childhood with not one single good memory. Yeah. I had a whole queue of different abusive stepfathers. I love my mum to bits, but she's crap at picking men. Yeah. And I buried all that. And then because I was in such a depressed state and so vulnerable, it came back. And Jesus Christ. I'm not joking, guys. I collapsed out. I spent a day howling. Literally howling at the wall. My wife, it was a Sunday. She was considering calling the ambulance. Yeah, it was that bad. It was only the fact that I wasn't a danger to anyone, and I was just in the bedroom rocking myself in a corner as every bad trauma came back in full bloom, and it was pretty horrific.
Yeah.
I'm a big guy. I've been around the world, that sort of stuff, but that destroyed me. She took me into into the GP the next day, and this woman GP, and I went through everything. And I can remember I was raging. I was absolutely, the hormones were flying. I was raging. I was pacing up and down inside the room, and I can remember my back was turned to the GP, and it just came into my head, "You're scaring her." Yeah. And just out of the blue, this little word came, "Don't worry, you're safe. I'll never hurt a woman." Yeah. Just like, not even me saying it. It was just like the brain going, "Look, you need to reassure her because you're scaring that." Turn around, GP was crying. Yeah. And they dosed me up like you wouldn't believe. I mean, I was on citalopram for the anxiety. Propranolol for anxiety attacks, which are a beta blocker that you take when you're having. And then I was on diazepam. They were taking no chances with me. And I spent 6 months rotting on a sofa. And I mean, that will not to do anything, that fatigue, literally. And the worst thing about citalopram is anxiety is actually beneficial. It makes you do things. I've got to get that bill paid. Oh, I've got to get into the studio, film The Weekender. It wipes all of that. You have no motivation to do anything. You don't have motivation to brush your teeth. But you're well aware you should be. So you sit there hating yourself as your family works round you, trying to cope with you. Whilst you're a problem. And that's what led to the suicides and that sort of stuff. My first one was a mark. My second one, with suicide, it's weird. What you do is you don't choose to kill yourself. Your life, you go through the trauma so much that you don't want to live. But what you do is you start to say people will be better off without you. It starts with your mother and your friends. Then it happened to Kerry. And the only reason I am alive today are my kids, because I couldn't justify ending my life for my kids. Plain and simple. They were like, you cannot do that to your children. I don't care how much you're hurting. Don't you brought them into this world. Don't you dare do that. And I had a plan. And when I say a plan, I'm a medic. We plan. Country Park, about half an hour drive from my house, well in the wilderness. Drive up there with the car, get out the car, take the car keys, put them on the front tyre, driver's side, so when I ring the police, they know where the keys are, so my wife can have the car. I'm thinking of killing myself, and one of my major plans is to make sure I'm not doing it in the car, so she can keep the car. And then on top of that, it's like, right, walk so far out, and then I'm like, I'm going to ring the police. And the reason I chose such a remote location,
they wouldn't be able to reach you in time.
Exactly. The response time. But I didn't want someone who wasn't the police coming and find. I was going to tell them, look, if you've got a recruit who needs to see a dead body, and that was the way my brain was working.
Very kind of you.
It's a bizarre situation. So it was like, I have a full proof, and it was just my kids. The idea that I love you kids. I am I am not doing, and that is the only reason I'm alive. And I was sitting on the sofa rotting after this incident. And Kes says, you need to do something. You're not my Mel. That's not my Mel. And she says, what do you want to do? I just looked up at it, and I went, I want to make little hills. And she goes, what? And I said, no, because I'd always had the bug, and she'd seen that from my wargaming I'd done before. And I was like, I want to make hills. I want to show people on YouTube. She was like, what, can you do that? I'm like, well, I can try. She said, I don't care what you do, as long as you try something. And that's what started the channel. And the channel was really good, because the channel allowed me to present the face I wanted to present to the world. So if I was out, I had bad weeks.
You could start to reconstruct yourself.
And one of the best things I ever did was being me on the channel. And like I am now, and like I've admitted to things that I probably shouldn't have admitted to be truthful, about my past and that sort of stuff. But it's so cathartic. It's just everything flows off. My lot are brilliant. You've been in my live shows when they pick. How many times have I had to switch the camera off because you've got me crying? You know what I mean?
And it's having that group, that live stream group, and the guys in and around you there is like a support group.
It is.
And because you can go, and you know that it's the same faces in there all the time, and you can have a chat with them, you can have a joke with them. If things get serious, there's not any pushback because they know you, and it's like an extended group of friends.
It's a mate,
and you can just go,
get it off your chest, mate, and then we'll carry on rolling. It works like that. They're great like that. They really are as communities. Our wargaming community is brilliant like that. The stuff we do to help people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Not just in mental health. I mean, how many charity gigs do we do to help all sorts of toys for tots and all that sort of stuff? You know, and so there's a caring gene.
Yeah.
And it's, and you know, as a community, this might sound like a very strange episode, guys. You know, it's but
sorry.
It was one of those opportune moments. I'd received another letter, and we've had so many letters from folk that are doing well, and some are maybe not doing so well at the moment. But it was just the opportunity because to have Mel here, Jerry, myself, just for us to talk. Because so many people have opened up to us.
Yeah. Mate, it's so prevalent in this community.
And I wanted to get it across that, look, you're not on your own.
No, you're not.
You know, I don't talk about this, and that may be a fault. You know, I try to keep it about Toy Soldier. The thing about it is, I have never wanted to really be at the center of this thing that we do. You know, the number of people have turned around to me and they say, but you're the product.
You are the face.
Oh, it makes my blood run cold. I actually enjoy working in the background with Lloyd on stuff that to bring, but I want us as a community to know I suspect everybody goes through these things at some point.
I did a live show, with about 200 people watching, and I asked the question, because it came up, and I asked the question, okay, out of those watching the live show, how many have suffered or are suffering with mental health issues? Out of 200 people, 120 said they were.
Yeah.
That's over half. And that didn't include the ones that don't know they're suffering with depression or anxiety, or the ones who aren't willing to admit it publicly.
Because I know they bandy around, they think about 1 in 3 people in the UK has that. In Northern Ireland here, it's higher because we've had much more fun in our in our life, even if you're not involved in any sort of military.
It's still a stressful environment.
It's a stressful environment. Not so much now, thankfully, but certainly for our generation, we had an awful lot more shit to put up with. So they reckon it's probably higher than that. But these are very early studies for something that they haven't really explored before the past 30 years. And realistically, the figure for that could be much, much higher than 1 in 3.
The thing is, I mean, they don't dedicate resources to it. They don't dedicate research to it. It's an iffy subject to get the truth out of people.
Yeah.
Everyone will tell you got a wart on your dick, they'll tell you. They're suffering from depression. You got to tease it out of them. Because we see it as and especially men. Men are the worst for it. Man up and all this sort of stuff. And I use that phrase. You use that phrase. And we see it as better. No. Man up is deal with your problems, not burying them. Acknowledge them. Go get help. Now, listen. If anyone is watching and they're worrying, your doctor is not going to tell anyone. Go see. Perhaps you don't have depression, but they'll tell you don't have depression.
That's very true.
You know what I mean? And like you're saying, that's a worry removed.
It's worth, you know. I would like you all as a community, because like some of you, I have no doubt some of you will have tuned in this morning. Go, what the fuck's this got to do with toy soldiers? This doesn't have anything to do with toy soldiers, but this has something to do with a community. And we are a community of mostly men. And I can only talk to you from my perspective as a man, of how I've felt and how being the man of the house. You know, since 2000. You know, of trying to bury it. You know, to bury anything that even remotely like it. You know, to the point. You know, even now. You know, you know, I just face days of nothing but seeing responsibility everywhere I turn. At home, I see 4 little ones that I wonder what would happen to them and Andrea if I wasn't around. Would life actually be better for them? You know, it's...
no, it would not, ever.
I then come into work and I see I see folk that rely on this place, continuing to continue to operate. The sense of, even the sense of responsibility that I feel for the folk that keep this project together, and then you guys sitting at home, you maybe have no idea the sense of responsibility that I feel.
I feel the same.
Every little thing, I am that guy that on a weekend will read the 500 comments, and the sense of self-doubt that you have, because I am probably my own worst critic as well. It's
the crazy thing is, the real crazy thing is, let's be honest. You've got problems. You haven't even
actually.
He hasn't chimed in yet, but
actually,
you got a bit teary-eyed at mine.
But this is part of it as well.
I'm going to say this once right now. Shut the up for 2 seconds.
Actually, go on.
I haven't said anything because I'm actually not ready to talk about it.
That's cool, mate.
That's what I thought.
Come here, buddy. You're all right. Whenever you're ready, boo.
Cheers.
Hugging releases serotonin. Serotonin is the love hormone. Yeah? Calm down, you. But you only get it through hugging, through physical contact. Yeah? We've all been there, mate. We've all been there. Yeah? I've been hugged. But
and
the
it's
fact
okay.
Look, it's fine. We get through it.
And that is what this is about, is we are a community, both within these walls and out there. We are not all brilliant all the time. And it's okay to not be brilliant.
It's okay to be broken occasionally, because nothing in life is perfect. And anything that is perfect isn't worth having. It's very much like the character of Calgar. It's his flaws that make it.
It's the flaws.
We'll talk about going full circle.
Yeah, it's the flaws.
Yeah.
And, Justin, like with all of us, it's understanding that
you're okay.
You are okay. And you're okay by being not okay.
Yeah. That's okay too.
And as and when you feel like what you need, I just want you to know that I'm always going to support you, man. Whatever. And if ever you want to talk or whatever, I'm there, because I understand. Nobody understands everybody else's story, but we can understand. I understand being afraid, and I understand tucking stuff away.
Well, one of the worst defense mechanisms I have is isolation.
Yeah.
When you're not near anyone connected to them, you're safe.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't connect to people, they can't hurt you. I know that one very well.
As do I, man.
Yeah.
As do I.
Not everyone's here to hurt you, mate. So if you want to connect, we're here, buddy. Whenever you're ready.
Cheers.
Always.
And the same, again, just out to all of us as a community, it's a good thing to be able to look out for one another. It's a good thing to be able to understand that we are all in this boat together.
Well, that's the whole bloody point of community, isn't it? Yeah.
I think this, more than a lot of other communities, and this not by OnTableTop, but the gaming community as a whole is in a much better situation than a lot of other people, because part of it is you are meeting people. You're going off, you're being social. As Doctor said to me a long time ago, the whole idea that you're human simply because you're human. No, you're a primate.
Yeah.
You are. There's nothing between you and monkey. But sometimes you need to go out and meet other people and get the reinforcement that you're part of a community.
Yeah.
And that in itself is worth having. Also, there are times where you just go, I can't cope with people today.
Yeah.
At which point,
that's okay.
That's fine. And you can sit in your house and you can clean up a massive mighty erection like this, or you can clean up a Primaris. You can do a bit of painting.
Yeah.
You can de-stress. It's therapeutic. You can relax.
Well, we know the hobby is therapeutic.
Yeah.
Well, it's one thing that breaks me out of,
Always,
terrible
mate.
processes
Mate,
sometimes.
I ran away from depression into terrain.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it
You
does.
got lost in a jungle in Burma.
You're in exactly the right place, mate.
Yeah.
Yeah, my endorphins come from building stuff for the community.
Yeah.
It's I work on projects with Lloyd, and those one of my flaws is this hyper concentration thing that I've got, where I just slip into something. But I've got to say, it's also kind of my happy place.
Yeah.
I don't know why. But I like being there because I can be creative there. I can build stuff, create stuff. I find safe. I find it safe there. It's because all the other things that I'm afraid of and that I run from, and
They don't intrude.
They don't intrude. I get into that zone and I plug in.
Yeah.
And I like to be there. It's not great for people that love me, because when I'm there, I'm not with them.
Yeah.
So I'm not claiming it's a good thing, but I can fully understand why somebody else, if they would turn around to me and say, I neglect other things because I find it safe in there.
Yeah. Terrain tutor. I've had those discussions with Kez over the terrain tutor. Like, you're going too much. You're too much TTT.
Yeah.
You need to be a family man. And I know, because I'm running away to my studio, because when I shut my studio door, the world shuts at the other side of it. And I'm in my happy place.
I have the same thing in here.
Yeah, exactly the same. But it's a refuge, not a home. Yeah, we come to the,
and that's it. Yeah, it's understanding that that it's okay to use a refuge as long as you know it's not a home.
Exactly,
and that I think is that is the thing that I think as a human being I'm trying to get a better balance of. It's because you could be sitting with your family. Well, at least I find you could be sitting with your family, and you're not sitting with your family.
Yeah.
And I find that the most strange and awful thing. I could take an evening and say, right, it's cuddle night.
Yeah.
I'm holding them, but I'm not cuddling them.
Yeah.
And
you're not getting that serotonin, you're not getting that oxytocin.
No, I just get fear.
Yeah.
I just get fear. And then the fear instantly brings on pain, and then the pain gives me more fear.
Yeah.
And it's,
we're back into that.
You're back into that cycle. And it's, this is a very, very strange episode. We've never had an episode like it. But I just
tell I'm here, can't you?
Yeah, it's but as a community, I just we wanted to share our stories just to let you know that
you're not alone.
Yeah, because I would imagine again, and I'm saying men because I know both men and women watch this, but I can only speak as a man.
Yeah.
It's Andrea has her own mental health issues, and she copes admirably and works very hard at it. And I don't envy her in the slightest of what she lives with and what she goes through. But I can just talk as one dude to other dudes.
Blokes struggle worse. Yeah. And it's because we have that linear thing. We like things in one line. And women,
there's no multitasking. Yeah.
Well, a woman can have depression and multitask, and depression is part of that multitasking. We hit depression, and that's the end of our journey till we come out of it.
Yeah, it's the only thing that's there.
Yeah.
Well, again, I don't know what the differences are. But I would like you to know, as a community, it's a good thing because we're more than just a bunch of randomers.
We're a community.
We are a community, both on OnTableTop and wider into all the other communities there. They're like a big Venn diagram.
Yeah.
So I don't know
ultimately what this episode will achieve, if anything.
If it achieves anything, just one person who's thinking about doing something stupid like we have, is going to realise they're not alone. Yeah, you do come out of the tunnel.
Yeah,
there is a light. Look, this is the first winter I haven't had depression because of winter. For the past 5 years. Every year, depression come February, March.
Yeah.
First one ever not. There is a light at the end of the tunnel and you can reach it, guys. Don't quit.
It's okay to open up, guys.
Yeah.
Many of you have opened up to us in the past through your letters, and you've thanked us. But I think it's our turn to thank you.
Just as a bit of admin, can we get a list of like Mind and the Samaritans and those sort of things listed under the article in case anyone wants to reach out?
We will do that. We will do that. And, it's if ever you want to write a letter, please feel free to write a letter. We love getting them. And if it helps you get something out of your system, please, by all means, you can send in a letter. Dudes,
I think we are in need of a coffee, and I'm in need of a nicotine break, to be truthful, because this has been a roller coaster.
And I've got my little baldy friend I've got to give a hug to. So, dudes, thank you for watching. Stay tuned if you post away. I don't know where this goes.
Who knows, but nothing bad will come of it.
Happy Sunday.